Hey guys, this is Blue Eyes Master 91, and today I thought I would do a quick couple of test hands for the Blue Eyes Despia deck. I did a deck profile for, so let's get on into it. But before that, I do want to kind of show off something I got at regionals. A sweet field center displaying the new Gohan transformation from Dragon Ball Super Heroes. I am a very big Dragon Ball fan, so I was very excited when I saw that in a gentleman's binder. He had a bunch of homemade field centers, and ended up buying 3. That was just the one I absolutely loved the most. So, alright, now that that's done, let's get on into it. So with this deck, I found that going second is definitely the best call to make, so let's assume that's what we're doing here. So we would draw for turn. And right away we have a couple of options. We have the ability to special summon out Dictator D. By sending a Blue Eyes to the grave. We then have Aluber, who we can summon. So what we would do there is we would add Branded Opening to our hands. And the nice thing about this spell it's not the card we would want to take. We would want to take Branded Fusion instead. Sorry about that. Either way, even if you had gone with Branded Opening, all you'd end up doing is summoning out another Aluber, which you wouldn't be able to use the effect, but it would give you 3 monsters on the field. And all that without, well, you normally summon out the Aluber, so never mind. So you wouldn't be able to do much else if you had gone that route, but with the Branded Fusion route, we have the ability to play Branded Fusion, followed by sending Alabaz and the Hexial Fusion in our hand to the grave. Which would let us go into our Albion Dragon. Albion Dragon's effect would then activate, which would allow us to fusion out a level 8 or lower monster from the extra deck, except another copy of Albion Dragon. And all you have to do that is banish material. So you would banish your Albaz and Hexial Fusion to go into a copy of Dragoon. And with that done, you would then proceed into the battle phase using your 2 monsters. And then you would end your turn. I don't know why he went to the grave. Let's see if I can get the full. There we go. Full board. So then you would have 3 cards in hand and 4 monsters on the field. So it would be your opponent's turn. Let's say they attempt to search something out. You can Ash. And then if they try to, say, play Raigeki, Dragoon's effect discarding your Stone of Legend, which then allows you to search out and add Blue Eyes to your hand. Now, with how I run the deck, synchro summoning and all of that is always to the background of how I run the deck. So, to me, going into Baron and all that is always going to come as a more of a last-ditch effort, mostly for Game 2, so that way my opponent doesn't see it coming. Dragoon is always going to be common with a Despia deck build, so having something in your back pocket like that is always nice to have. On that note, there's also Guardian Chimera was initially called for in the deck build. I have not bought a copy of that yet, so that is why it's not in this build. But if you have a copy or plan on buying a copy, you can easily put that in this deck as well, instead of Twin Burst. So let's assume our opponent's turn is done. We would draw for turn, and we would have a couple of options. We can use Sage's effect, targeting our Albion to destroy it, to special summon out of Blue Eyes from the deck. And we'd go with Abyss Dragon. Then we can reveal Blue Eyes White Dragon in our hand to summon out Alternative. We can then use Alternative's effect to pop a monster on the field. Let's see, what else can we do right now? If you wanted to, you could overlay Alternative and Abyss Dragon to go into your number 107. You also have the option of using Aluber. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Aluber, Abyss Dragon, and Dictator can be used to go into the copy of Blackluster Soldier's Link that you have in your extra deck. And then from there, you have a 4K beat stick and a 3K beat stick that can attack twice, can banish a monster, or card rather, or it can gain 1,500 attack points each battle during the next turn. So you have a lot of options on this. I would attack and have Soldier gain the 15, and then I would have Dragoon attack. Assuming that that does not end the game, it'd be your opponent's turn. After Albion's effect does go off during the end phase, so you can add a copy of Brandon Open to your hand. Now, if your opponent does do anything, you can discard the Blue Eyes, but I would hold on to the Brennan Open spell card if you can. So let's just assume that they didn't try to do anything to make Dragoon bigger, and it would be our turn. We would draw for turn, getting a copy of Aluber. Now we have a couple more options here. What we can do here is, how do I want to do this? Yeah, I would do Brennan Open, special out the Aluber in deck. Aluber's effect would then activate. Adding our last copy of Branded Fusion. With that done, We can then activate Branded Fusion. Sending Alabaz, and it really doesn't matter what dark you send. We can go Shadal Beast. To go into Lubellion. And because we use Shadal Beast, we get to draw a card. Not a bad draw. So Lubellion's effect would then activate. We can discard the Aluber or our Blue Eyes. Yeah, we would want to discard our Blue Eyes. Well, I guess it wouldn't matter too much if you discarded Blue Eyes or Aluber to activate Lubellion's effect, which allows you to fusion summon by shuffling cards back into the deck, so we can add back Alternative and our 2 Blue Eyes to go into our copy of Ultimate Dragon. We then have... You can't see him. There we go. We can then use Abyss Dragon's effect by banishing it. His attack points, Ultimate Dragon goes up to 55, and Lubellion's attack points go up to 35. And then if you wanted to, you can use Melody to search out Blue Eyes and Alternative. To special summon out the Alternative using its own effect. You can then use Lubellion and Alternative after you use Alternative's effect to pop a monster to go into 107. You can then go into the battle phase, attacking with everything you have on board, with Luster Soldier gaining an additional 15, putting him at 6,000. End of the battle phase, you can then go into Zeus. So that is one way to go into an endgame board. Took a lot of moving parts, obviously, but that's just one way. Let's see how our next opening hand looks. Here in a moment. I'm not going to show what I would side deck in because it changes with each match, obviously. But depending on circumstances, you might side out the Twin Burst if you're running it for your Link Karibo. Just because then it's something you can deal with a level 1 monster on the field. Instead of just kind of being at the mercy of your opponent, you can link it off to get effects. So let's see what we get here. A fairly interesting hand. Looking at it, there's a lot of potential here for some fun plays. Personally, I think the first thing I would do is special out Alternative. I would then play the Branded Fusion. Assuming we're going first this time. And at this point, assuming that it would go through, either way you have to send for cost. So you would send your Seal Fusion and Alabaz to the grave. To once again go into Lubellion to banish them for Dragoon. After that, you can play your Brandon Open. Summoning out your Aluber. Its effect would then activate, allowing you to add Branded Lost to your hand, which you would immediately activate. And now you have two options. You can sacrifice Aluber and Albion Dragon to get, normal out your Blue Eyes to go into Twin Burst. Or if you had subbed out Twin Burst for your copy of Link Karibo, you can normal out the stone. I'll show you the stone option. So let's say I did switch out Twin Burst for Link Karibo. I can normal up the stone, since I haven't done that yet. Oh wait, Branded Fusion locks you into fusions, so you don't want to do that either way. So, I guess your only real option is to sacrifice Albion Dragon and Aluber for your Blue Eyes. You can use, since you're going first, you'd probably want to end there with 3K beat sticks on board. Albion Dragon's effect could then activate, allowing you to add another Branded Open. Did I discard for that? I did not, so I would have had to actually discard the stone for Branded Open's effect. My bad. Sorry, guys. So, Stone's effect would also activate at the end of the turn, allowing you to special out Abyss Dragon. Abyss Dragon's effect. You can add Jet Dragon to hand. So, that's a pretty solid opening turn, in my opinion. And even if your opponent does something, you can discard the Jet Dragon. Because it doesn't matter, as long as there's a Blue Eyes on field or in the graveyard, you can summon out Jet Dragon from the grave or hand. So, let's say they try to use Branded Fusion, for example. You can discard Jet Dragon, negate, and gain 1,000. And then, let's just say they ended on a smaller board than what they were planning on. So it'd be your draw. You would draw Foolish. You would activate Foolish to send your copy of Whitestone of Legend to grave, and when you do that, you get to add your Blue Eyes to hand. You can then play Branded Opening by discarding Blue Eyes to get your copy of another copy of Aluber, whose effect would then activate. And in this situation, you can either go with Branded Banishment or Fusion. It doesn't matter which. So I will go with Banishment just to show you how you can use that in this situation. I would then set the trap. And then I would activate Alternative's effect to pop a monster. And I'm realizing that we don't have Twin Burst in the deck at the moment because I subbed it in this scenario. So what we can do here is we can use Abyss and Alternative to go into number 107. Or we can go into Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos using Abyss, Alternative, and Aluber, which is what I will end up doing. Because Abyss Dragon is better in the graveyard than on the field right now. Yeah. We would then enter into the battle phase. We would attack with Blue Eyes, destroying a monster, which would then trigger Jet Dragon's effect from the grave. If someone was destroyed by battle or card effect, he comes back to the field. Next, I would attack with Jet Dragon, following up with our 4K Dragoon, ending with the Soldier of Chaos. During the end of the damage step, because Jet Dragon battled, I get to pop a card on the field. I would end up popping a back row. I would end the turn there, and it would be their draw phase. So from this point on, we have nothing in hand, so they can search and all that without any kind of retribution. It would be our draw. We'd get an alternative. But because we have Stone of Ancients in the grave, we banish it to add back Blue Eyes. We special out alternative. That works. We can then utilize our trap card branded Banishment to resummon out Aluber. Aluber's effect would then activate, giving us our branded Fusion. Now this is where it gets kind of fun and interesting. What we can do here is one of two things. Right now our Soldier of Chaos has 4,500 attack points. What we can do here is link off Soldier of Chaos and Aluber, going into our copy of Access Code Talker. But because we did that, we are unable to activate Branded Fusion this turn, which is not a big deal. Because next, we can use Access Code's effect to gain 3,000 attack points, putting him at 5,300. And say our opponent does try to negate that gain, we would simply use Dragoon, though I don't believe you can. Yeah, your opponent cannot activate anything in response. So, once Access Code is out, he'd gain the 3,000, putting him at 53. And we would attack, depending on what their life points are, that would likely be game. If it's not, it'd be their move. But they likely cannot do anything to get around this board. So it'd be our turn, we would draw, and we'd use Branded Fusion to send, let's see here, Alabaz, and Shadow Beast once again to the graveyard. To go into Nubelion. So then we would discard for Lubellion's effect after we draw for Shadow Beast's effect. Oh, that's a really, really nice draw. Not gonna lie. That's a really, really fun draw. We would discard a Blue Eyes to use Lubellion's effect to set to Fusion Summon using alternative Blue Eyes. And our second copy of alternative that's in the graveyard. Sending them back into the deck to summon out our Ultimate Dragon. Now we're not done here. We can then utilize Ultimate Fusion by returning Blue Eyes from the graveyard. Yeah, that would just mean that Jet Dragon wouldn't be able to recur right now, but that's fine. We would send Albion Dragon and Blue Eyes back into the deck to summon out our Tyrant Burst Dragon. And that would set the board up very nicely for the end game. Which this right here, the only thing that would make the board more deadly is by banishing your copy of Abyss Dragon to make Ultimate Dragon and Tyrant Burst Dragon along with Lubellion and Jet Dragon even bigger. So you'd have a 55, a 53, a 4K, a 5K because you use the effect twice, a 44 to 35. So that would be game on that. So those are just a couple of boards you can make with this deck. You do have to be kind of careful. You go through your deck rather fast, but when I used this the first week I went to the locals tournament near me, I went 1-2, and the matches that I ended up losing did end up going to a game 3. So the deck is able to go up against a lot of stuff in the meta, and when you can put out boards like this, they really struggle to get around stuff because they don't expect Blue Eyes to be able to put up boards like this. So it's kind of nice and it's a surprise. But yeah, that's it for this video. I will catch you guys in the next one.